Good evening, everyone, and namaste from India. Welcome to my LinkedIn live show, Nothing Less Than Marvelous Tales of Winners, where every fortnight I'll be having remarkable guests on my show who will be sharing their stories. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to a very inspiring young lady who has faced unbelievable challenges at a very young age that we could never ever imagine for our children or wish for anyone. From being abandoned and homeless in a foreign country to being a woman of substance, strength, and compassion, her journey and purpose has taught her more than she could imagine. In the trial of adversity, she learned the most critical lessons that formed her character and shaped her destiny. Today, she is a strong, emerged young lady who invests all her time and energy into being the best mentor she can possibly be. April is a career acceleration coach, a transformation strategist, helping working women professionals scale up the corporate ladder so they can multiply their personal and professional successes 10 times. As a student of psychology, April Strong has always loved studying human behavior and behavioral patterns. She is a content creator, a TEDx speaker, a talk show host, and a coach. Let us put our hands together to welcome this lovely young lady, my guest, April Strong from Mumbai. Thank you for being here, April, on my show, and I'm so happy that you are here.
I am so excited to be here, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm sure I'm going to have fun. We both are going to have fun. And yes, thank you. Thank you to everybody who's watching us. Hopefully, this talk will inspire a few people and probably spread a good message. And, maybe I think we all learn two ways. One is we can learn from our own miseries and experiences, or we could learn from other people's miseries and experiences. And I would love if that happens to somebody because of me.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's such a pleasure having you here, April. April, you know what? I simply love your name. There is something unique about it, a deep meaning. April means the opening buds of spring, and strong
Hmm.
means strength, right? So to me,
Right.
I think what I feel is April Strong means reborn as an
Right.
emerged woman with unbreakable strength within. So am I right?
Right.
I'm curious to know, is April Strong your pseudonym, and how did you get this name?
Oh wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful question, and I'm glad you're asking me here because I get that question all the time. So yes,
Yes.
you are absolutely right. It is my pseudonym, and the reason I how it happened was in 2020 in January I returned from US after a lot of battle, after some incidents that had completely crushed me. But when I returned, to my surprise and to my shock, things were even worse than they were in the States. The
Oh,
situation was very bad, and now I reached a point where I was trying to assess things, I was trying to gain my strength back, but it wasn't happening. I became extremely, extremely suicidal. And I hit depression. I was bipolar, and I was diagnosed with a lot of mental health issues. There was 7 days, and I've never shared this story anywhere. But yeah, I feel ever since we spoke about it, I decided that I am going to talk about it. So, all right, so there were 6 days, 6 nights when I did not sleep. I couldn't get any sleep. I had anxiety attacks and panic attacks. My parents did think that I was going to die, and
oh,
I started saying absurd things. I forgot how to
Oh,
write. I forgot the basic things in life. If my mom would purposely ask me to do something for her, and I wouldn't know how to do it.
oh,
And I had lost my purpose of life, and this was the second time this was happening. And this time I was very sure that I didn't want to kind of go through this. I wanted to end my life. But something happened in those days. I couldn't sit in one place like this. I would keep shaking, my body would keep shaking or keep shivering. And I had to walk
restless.
throughout the day, throughout the night, because I had withdrawal symptoms, because by the time I was under medication, I wasn't able to find my
Yes.
medication. COVID, what it did to me was actually because of COVID. I was going to fight for my children. I was fighting in the States. I had come back and I had realized now that I have to continue the fight. I'd come back assuming and thinking that my fight has ended. But that's when I realized that there's another fight now in a new country, now in my own country, but I don't know the lawyers, I don't know the law now. Again, I am in the same place that I started. So here what happened
Oh,
was I COVID did that to me. Now those 7 days with all those attacks and everything, what really happened was nobody could see me in that kind of trauma. My bhabhi was giving me some books. I got the secret book. Somebody was forwarding some YouTube videos. Like only my family, of course, nobody else knew my existence also at that point of time. Nobody knew I had come back. So
oh,
only my family were trying to help me with this video, that video. I had my bestie, she was trying to help me. What it did was, I went through a time where I was only confused. I was not able to make sense of anything in those 7 days. And
mm,
it is said that when you reach a point where you, I mean, if let's say you reach the end of a bottomless pit, you just keep going and going and going. And now there is no choice but to come out of it.
but to come up.
Because
Absolutely.
it was like I had to find an answer, because although these thoughts were troubling me, they were so difficult to cope up with, and they were bothering me. I was screaming, I was literally screaming in pain. The emotional pain manifested into a physical pain. I had started having pain in my body, and it was excruciating. I wanted to pull my hair out, it was that bad. And that is when I wanted to change things. Alka, imagine if you're in some pain and you have to live with it, and it is so excruciating that you're not able to tolerate. You will beg to the doctor that just take this pain away, right? I had no doctor, so I started to ask God for help. I started to ask universe for help. And now all of the things that I was trying to read, because I wasn't sleeping 24 bar 7, literally 7 days, right? So I was doing a lot of meditation, this, that, in hopes that I would just sleep. I had no other hope. I was like, I don't want my parents to freak out. I don't want them to think that they lost me. Just save me. Just give me a day's sleep. Just make me normal. Now, what happened in that time was I felt like eternally I got my answers. It felt like I didn't do anything to get my answers, but I got them eternally. And on the seventh day, I went to my mom and I told her that I feel like I have some weird power in me. I feel very different. And please don't worry about me. See, because now I was very worried that I was giving them pain because of my pain. Imagine how
Yes.
would parents feel to see
I
their
can,
child going
yes.
through trauma,
As a
right?
parent, I can absolutely understand.
And I knew that I was being so, this was so cruel on them to see me like that. So I went to her, I told her, I feel a sense of power. I feel that I'm sure now that you're not going to see me in pain. I feel things are going to change, and I'm sure it's going to change. She literally thought I had gone nuts, because there I was. not able to do anything, and suddenly I'm coming and telling something like this. But it actually happened. I feel I'm a very natural coach. I feel I got my answers on that day from within. I found that is when I realized that I found my inner strength. The question I asked myself, which my friend had asked, was she'd asked me, okay, when was the last time you watched TV? I said, I don't know, maybe 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago. And she told me, okay, tell me, is not watching TV going to get your kids back? I said, no. Is not laughing going to get your kids back? I said, no. Is not living your life going to get your kids back? I said, no. And that's when I realized that, sometimes when you're used to gaslighting, when you're used to some kind of conditioning, you will find your own reasons. So that was the time, it was April 2020, when I found my inner strength. And that is how I named myself April Strong. Now, the
April.
reason why I did it, is because I realized I wanted to be a coach. Okay, and this happened very immediately. Like, I still tell people that it could take somebody 10 years to learn something, and it could take someone else 10 weeks to learn something.
Yes, right.
That's how it happens, and it could happen at
Happens.
any age. I realized I wanted to be a coach. I started researching about it, and I realized that I needed to be on social media. I needed to have a personal brand. At that point of time, what happened was I had deleted all of my social media accounts. I was
Okay.
oblivious. Let's say, I was absconding from the world for the past almost 1 year. I had been absconding from the world, and now I was returning. So I needed a new identity because the divorce and this and that, everything was still going on. So I was thinking, what should I name myself that feels real and that feels like I own it? So there was my answer.
Hmm.
It was in
Right
April.
there.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I found my inner strength. So I named myself April Strong.
April
Yeah, that's
strong.
the real story.
Yeah, so I was absolutely right because I always
Yeah,
wonder, April Strong is such a unique name and there is some kind of power in that. And
correct.
I actually wondered, is this her real name or this must be pseudonym? So I dared to ask you and I did my analysis and I thought that this must be it because April
Right,
means the budding of new the opening
right,
of buds of spring
right,
and
right.
strong is strength. So that is the reason I thought, and yeah, and it's a lovely name. I really like it.
Thank
Whenever I see April
you.
Strong, I feel a kind of energy in me whenever I see your
Oh,
name.
that is so
Yeah.
amazing. That is so amazing.
Yes, actually,
And
because and I feel that my show is perfect. I mean, I'm so happy you are here because, as you know, that my show is Tales of Winners, and it's about
correct,
those who have faced tremendous challenges in life, and instead of giving up on life, they have emerged as winners.
correct.
And yes, I did have a second question, but a lot of it you have said it now. Because what I from your introduction and what you shared with me and what I've read on your profiles, that there were times live where you had faced unfathomable challenges and then abandoned and homeless in a foreign country. If you are comfortable, you can tell, okay, it's if you are comfortable.
Yeah. Sure, sure.
How did you land up in a foreign country and what exactly happened to make you homeless and uh, how did you face it? Some of it you just told
Yeah, perfect.
a little while back, that how did you face it? And this is only if you are comfortable because your inspiring story will definitely be motivating and inspiring so many out there who are fighting their own uh, demon, and struggling to find a foothold.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So before I answer that question, the one thing that I want to tell everybody in this world is that when something wrong happens to you, that's when you start to see who did it, why they did it, how they did it, and you have a lot of anger, enmity, all of those things against them. But today, probably because of the work that I do, or everything that I have been learning, the one thing that I've learned is that my story is not about someone doing something to me or some people doing something to me. My story is about how a normal, regular person can suddenly go through something that is unimaginable. And
Unimaginable that you never thought of.
and so my story is about building up your mental strength in a way that you don't allow things to happen to you. So the reason why I say this is because today I feel I even bless the people who've done wrong to me. I I would
Absolutely.
be because I've learned through life that sometimes life just puts you through trauma and experiences in a way that at least the people around you can learn from it, or that you can do something better in life. So I tell myself that maybe the purpose of my life was not only to take care of my two biological children. Maybe the purpose of my life is to create an impact, to do something much more than that. And when they are my biological children, nobody can, anyways, take them away. So the physical distance cannot change anything, is what I tell myself. So I'm sorry to take that much time in giving you a gist
No,
about
no,
before
not
the
at all.
question.
Absolutely. It's inspiring. Please, please go ahead. Very inspiring.
Okay, so
Because there
in
are so many
2000,
things I'm able to relate to, like you are
right,
saying about stuff, that being thankful to people who have done wrong. I have been also saying the same thing. So please continue and then, yeah.
absolutely. All right, so thank you for that. In 2010 is when I got married. I was about 23, 24. And, you know, I was, okay, let me keep it just to the question. To give you a gist, I would say that making a decision that huge, giving, actually getting married to somebody, the kind of commitment and the kind of decision that you're making, sometimes we don't realize how big that decision is. We go for it because of someone else. We go for it without thinking through. So I will definitely say that that's where I think I was wrong. It is not about my my spouse being a bad person, not at all. I think sometimes it's your compatibility also that matters a lot. It is, so I was about 23 when I got married. And immediately he was working in the US. He had just started working. That's when I went to the US. And through that time, there were a lot of, you don't get a work permit. Although at that
Hmm.
point of time I had a work permit, but I wasn't from the IT industry. And there you could only get a job in the IT easily. Other things, nothing was working out. So I think that was the biggest challenge that I faced initially, of suddenly going from being career oriented, ambitious, to oh my god, now what do I do? So yeah, that's how, to answer your first question, how I went to the US is after marriage, as a dependent on my husband. That's how I reached there, and then I we had two kids together. Initially, things were fine, just like any other family, but we had our own issues, and we reached a point where he had told me that we just live in this house just because, just for the kids, because I think we had too many arguments. It was not going very well, and I think biggest mistake that I made was I was very submissive. So when you are submissive and your partner has a very prominent or a dominant personality, you
Mm.
end up being someone who's always a pushover, and you're always going to be dissatisfied with life. So yeah, that is exactly what happened. Then towards the end, I think in 2019 is when, I mean, I had, then of course things changed. I was doing some small time jobs. I became a teacher. Then I started working in the IT because he wanted me to work in IT. That's when the problem started to increase, which I didn't even know. It was in his mind. I never got an opportunity to, nobody ever, he never discussed it with me. So I didn't even know what was happening. That's when he decided, like, my kids were taken away. And it was told to me that it was just going to be a vacation of 3 weeks. And since I didn't
Right.
have a say in the relationship, and I was working, I was just told that it was because of the stress of marriage that it, the kids were taken away, and then they were going to be back in like 3 weeks. So that's what happened, and he left with the children. And 10 days later, I was told that, we don't want to, I don't want to be with you, and I don't want to
Oh,
give the kids back to you. So, yes, that's exactly what happened. And ever since, there's been a struggle. And the day that happened, I think my only identity in life was being Urvika and Rishi's mother. That's all I knew. I think nothing else mattered to me. Sometimes it's like you work, but you're working just because, okay, you're working. By that point of time, I think I had reached a sense where it was just about the kids. So now when this happened, it came as a shock. And I'm not saying this absolutely to say what somebody did to me. It's just about how things can change. So the message here is, sometimes we need to be very careful about what we are going through. Sometimes because I today feel that maybe we both needed help. Maybe we both needed to go counseling. We both needed support. Maybe I needed to go to somebody too, to talk out my emotions and to understand what is the right thing. Sometimes you give so much, you do so much for a relationship, or you just keep quiet in a relationship, and you're thinking you're doing too much. But actually, you being quiet is not even helping the other person. You're being a people pleaser. So I was an extreme people pleaser. So what I would rather do is, if you tell me that, okay, this is what I want you to do, even if I don't want to do that, I would still go ahead and do that, only to put that
definitely.
smile on your face. But what it does to me, it it takes that part away from me. I feel like I'm doing something for you, but to be honest, maybe you didn't even want it that much, right? So I think these are some patterns. We cannot change someone else, but we can always change our own patterns. We can always understand ourselves. So yes, my message here will be, ask yourself if you need help. And there's nothing wrong in seeking help. And sometimes we
Right.
don't seek help because of the money involved, because of the investment involved. And my message here would be, it is so much better to eat good food rather than and spend 500 rupees rather than $50,000 in a hospital later. So yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to share.
Oh God, this is really, really touching. And there were so many things which were going on in our mind because relationships can be so many, but relationship is so important and it stands on so many factors. It stands on so many factors.
Right.
There is trust, there is understanding, space, communication is very important in a relationship. Communication is very important. Uh, Emotional compatibility. So there are a whole lot of things. Again, parental conflict is not very good for a child's development. So there are so many factors. And again, I feel that people say that depression is a say disease or something, but I feel that depression is something that a person has been fighting for too long and has used up all his or her strength right up to the end. And at this point, it is so important, like you have said just now, that you seek help or you speak to someone you trust, but
Right.
speak to someone you can speak to, someone who will listen to you and without judging you, be by your side, help you. That is very important. And uh, your entire story really touched my heart. It really touched my heart. And I always feel that there is always a reason that things happen to us, but some people go through so much pain. And sometimes I feel that maybe God knows that that person will be able to endure that pain, will be able to use, embrace that pain, step out of it, and help others with their wisdom and all that
Exactly.
they have learned out of during the healing period. So I'm so
Correct.
glad that you are there, you are smiling today, you are right here, and such are the experiences that remain with us for life.
Right.
Huh? And the trauma can be quite haunting. Whatever's
Right.
happened, we might try to, it's very difficult to forget. We might want to forgive because it's very important to, forgive, because if we do not forgive, we are engulfed by our own bitterness. It pulls us down, weighs us down. And it's not easy to forgive. It does take time. So
Right.
all these things are quite haunting. So how do you overcome the challenges that come your way now? If you face any challenge now, how do you overcome it?
Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you so much. Um, so the first thing I did was, a lot of people, once I hit that, you know, problem, there were a lot of people who were supporting. There were people who came out to kind of help me. The only difference was it was very difficult for me to process all that help. But I took help and it helped me so much. I grew out of that. But a lot of those lessons, I'll tell you, sometimes your father might say something to you. He might be saying that almost every single day to you, but it will not make any difference or it will not make any sense. The same thing somebody else tells you 5 years later, and that time you will remember this is what my father has been saying. And oh wow, this makes sense now. So, what happened to me was it simple things that other people shared through their stories, I was able to remember and make sense of it once I gathered my strength. So the biggest lesson that I learned was there was one of my friends, she lived in Massachusetts. She told me, do not worry about the things you have no control over. And I live by it today because I lived in fear all my life, Alka. You will not believe. I was this child who was extremely scared of everything. I would pray for no problems without understanding that life is what it is. Problems are a part of it. So I would pray for no problems and I would worry about every problem. Today I'm exactly the opposite, I would say. Today I any challenge, any problem that comes my way, I am super, super solution focused. It does not, and I accept anything that comes my way. Like if I'm feeling anxiety, of course I feel anxiety, I do feel fear, everything. But I accept my emotions immediately. And I change it, I pivot my thoughts immediately. I write down everything. I maintain a journal of my thoughts. And then I tell myself, okay, this already happened. This happened yesterday. I don't have a time machine, so I cannot change it. What can I do with it? And then I allow myself to take a decision to find a solution. Then I tell myself, you always take decisions based on the facts you have at the moment when you take the decision. So just do right by yourself. Just do right with whatever you know. Don't blame yourself if that decision turns out to be wrong. Because as long as you're being analytic, you're being practical, and you take a decision, there is no way for you to know what will happen tomorrow. Like you're investing in stocks. It's still a lesson. If you fail, you fail. It's still a lesson. And just have faith that no matter what happens, life is beautiful. and you're going to get out of it. So that is my true strategy today. That I'm very very solution focused. And one more thing is, as soon as I feel any kind of discomfort, today I don't allow discomfort. I heal myself.
Very good.
If I
Very good.
don't, and if I'm not able to support myself enough, I reach out for help. I don't fear reaching out for help. I will call somebody. I will ask them, okay, this is what I'm feeling and I don't like it. I don't accept um, depressed thoughts or bad thoughts, bad feelings, negativity in my life. I've
Yes,
told
that is
myself
exact.
I'm not going to allow it. So I
Excellent.
just tell, I would tell
Excellent.
everybody, I would tell everybody that don't live with your misery. There are some
Yes.
things that you will have to accept in life, but just look at it in a different perspective, find a solution. And if you find a solution turns out to be wrong, don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Very true. In fact, life throws us challenges to make us strong. And normal human nature is to always focus on challenges. And that is what they are
Correct.
manifesting. And challenges are
Correct.
inevitable, but solutions are also inevitable. So
Right.
people need to understand that instead of focusing on challenges, because they look at it as obstacles, they should, challenges are actually opportunity to grow. And if they focus on solutions, it's not just one solution. They'll find the door open and solutions will be just pouring out one after
Right.
the other. And it's the truth and it's a fact. And I absolutely love your strategy, April. In fact, we have some comments here. Sonali Nasikar, she says, you both rock. And we have a wonderful
um,
comment here from Mr. Kalyan Chakravarti. Thank you so much for being here and for your presence. Mr. Chakravarti says, beautiful journey, Madam April Strong. Life is but your family, especially mother. And to top it up, no substitute for moment and click. Must give your best to this universe, irrespective. Never give up the moments which rewards you with real identity. Do your best till you're alive and carry out your steps, and life is only a happening. Excellent share, uh, commentary, dialogue.
thank you so much. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for everybody
Yes.
who's watching. Yeah.
Yes, and there will be, others will be watching as, everybody's in different
Yes.
time zone and they are really going to be inspired by this. April, there is something you wrote in your profile that I love.
Okay.
So let me read it out. You wrote,
Yeah.
I think true beauty lies in being powerful, yet grounded, fierce, yet gentle, disciplined, yet free spirited, and that is who I am. I resonated to these words because I always feel that every woman has the softer and the harder side that she balances based on the situations in life. So, people have different definitions and perspectives of womanhood. For some, womanhood is the qualities considered to be natural to a woman.
Right.
And whereas for some, womanhood is wearing heels as well as wearing work boots if required. What is your thought on the womanhood?
I think we, a lot of times, including me, I think we all, just to gel with other people, we would say that we're going to empower women. I think
Hmm.
women are already empowered. That's how they were. They just need to find that fire in them sometimes. जैसे घर
Hmm.
पे हम चीजें रखते हैं उसमें धूल मिट्टी जम जाती है, राइट? It is
Yes.
about that, to dust that off. I think the biggest problem that women today face is the difference in thoughts, the opposing thoughts that happen. I'll share my own story. For the longest time in life, the reason why I was submissive, the reason why I was people pleaser, is because I only saw women who, if they were strong, they were, uh, I would say, nobody liked them. They were the strong figures who were supposedly very rude. I'll give you an example. So, when I was growing up, if there was a woman who was divorced, the bitterness in her life, whatever happened, would turn her into this person who doesn't want to talk to anybody, who hates men. See, because that's probably the kind of life she lived. That was the kind of responses or things she faced. So every strong woman I saw, I did not think that it was a good thing. Can you imagine something as basic
Hmm.
can be a confusion to so many women? And this is not just me. In my journey, I've spoken to so many people who want to just be kind because we don't understand that you can be strong and kind at the same time. You can
Yes.
be powerful and grounded at the same time. You can be fierce and humble at the same time. What it really means is that you're always kind, you're always humble and grounded. But when something happens, you are firm, you can stand up for yourself, you can stand up for somebody else and say and speak your thoughts out. That is strength. Strength is not about ridiculing others. Strength is not about telling someone, criticizing someone, judging someone,
No.
yelling at someone.
Right.
I think once we understand and embrace how kindness and inner strength can work together, I think we'll all be so much more powerful.
Yes. Beautiful. Lovely words, April. So today we are, you are helping people, especially women, create a life, a career they have always wanted, right? So tell us something
Right.
about your work and how you are helping them.
So Alka, I do quite a few things. So when it comes to my coaching journey, I think
Yeah.
initially I did start with men and women. I had this journey with how to react or how to talk to men. So initially, when everything happened in my life, of course, I was also in that zone where I was like, I hate men. Then I figured, if I'd say that, do I really think my father is like that? Do I really think my brother deserves to be hated by anybody on this planet? No. Then, surprisingly, what started happening was the universe started giving me mentors or teammates or people who understood me. And then I just couldn't deny that it is just about how you grow when you grow. Sometimes you are bad to somebody, but maybe after an year, you're the best person on this planet. I think every human being has that potential. So initially, I did some, but when it came to my coaching journey to coach men, when I did it with
Hmm.
men, I didn't feel a sense of individuality there. I wasn't very happy or didn't feel contentment in that in those conversations. That's when I decided that I enjoy working with women because it gives me that feeling that I am helping a woman put bread on the table, get more toys for the children, provide for their education. So that was super inspiring to me to see a woman do that for herself. That's when I decided that I want to, just focus on working with women. So my individual clients, I don't do much group. I take individual clients, and it's not just career, but it is actually an entire life, um, all the areas of your aspect. But the reason why I talk about career is because in any coaching, you need to have a gateway to your coaching. There should be one reason why people want to start working with you. So I love tangible results. I feel that when my client comes back and tells me, okay, I'm earning an amazing paycheck now, I think that gives me a lot of pleasure. So, but yes,
Yeah.
what I do is once we have a discovery call, I have a program that I take them through, and I help them figuring out having some career clarity. We also work on other goals of their life, like I'll have them do research. I think the best part about coaching is the accountability that you get. And I think the
Hmm.
what I love about myself is I'm not one of those toppers. I'm not one of those kids who were like, always successful, always great at everything. I was, in fact, the other way around. I worked hard, but I barely got anything. And I was the child, or I was the adolescent who made so many mistakes. And, you can call me a black sheep or whatever, but you know what it does to you? It brings so much compassion. So when my client comes back and tells me I didn't do it, I will be firm and want them to do it, but but I am always ready to keep, that heart and keep following up. If a client doesn't show up for a call, I, I've had my friends who tell me, how can they do that? And I'm like, it's okay, it happens. Sometimes people forget appointments. It's totally fine. So I think, I think when you grow through your failures, it just makes you so much more compassionate. And I feel I'm blessed.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You actually grow by wisdom a lot and you understand things. You are more empathetic and you understand why a certain
Absolutely.
person has done so and so, and you are able to guide them. So that is
Right.
brilliant, April. What advice would you give to those people who are facing abuses and bullying in their life now?
Okay. Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful question. The first thing that they want to do is see every case is individually very different because we're talking about two different people. So, but in any situation, you want to first seek help as soon as you realize there is a red flag, because you
Hmm.
never know. You are thinking that, okay, how people always describe their relationships. "Arey, haan, it's all good, but here thode problems. It's going okay." You need to dig deeper into that. You need to understand what is really happening. And there are only two ways. You can either think, in most cases, you should try your level best to work that relationship. And you need to go seek help, try to see, and be open about what are the things that you can do. A lot of times we get into a zone, a mental state where we're always playing victim. We're always thinking, no,
Hmm.
I do everything for the other person. I do everything
Hmm.
for the other person, and the other person does nothing. The golden rule to a relationship is, don't use the word nothing and always. Don't use these two words, because it is impossible that someone always does something or always doesn't do something. And it's impossible that you're never doing something. you know the, you should avoid these words, because later you realize, you in the anger and the rage you would say that, but then you will realize, no, 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 he's not that bad. So I think it's the most important is to communicate the right way, and then be very, very susceptible, be very understanding that कमी मुझ में भी है, क्योंकि मैं भी
Exactly.
इंसान हूँ, मैं
Correct.
भगवान नहीं, तो कमी तो मुझ में भी
Hmm.
है। भले वो कमी
Exactly.
छोटी है, बड़ी है, बट जब आप एक कदम रखोगे, तब दूसरा 2 कदम रखेगा। अगर आप ज़िद करके बैठोगे कि नहीं, मैं तो एकदम ही सही हूँ, मैंने तो इसके लिए सब कुछ किया है, सामने वाला इतना खराब है कि उसे कुछ नहीं दिखाई देता। आई थिंक दैट इज़ वेयर वी नीड टू ग्रो। अगर आप सब कुछ कर भी रहे हो, तो भी शायद आप गलत हो, शायद आपकी गलती यही है कि आप सब कुछ कर रहे हो।
Hmm. Correct.
गलती
Correct.
कुछ भी हो सकती है, लेकिन ऑलवेज अंडरस्टैंड दैट आप, you could be Dalai Lama also, but you will still make mistakes. You will still have the same emotions as another human being, because you're still human.
Correct.
So be ready to take feedback. Be ready to, if you want any change in your relationship, there are two things. One is to crib about having a bad relationship but not wanting to do anything about it. Second
Hmm.
is to wanting to change it. See, sometimes if you're going through abuse, make sure, if it is really bad and you are very sure that there's someone violence, or whether it's emotional also. I'm not only talking about physical, but if you're very sure and you know that you want to not work on it and move out, then be honest about it and take the steps. Don't worry ki kal kya hoga. Don't worry. You will be taken care of by the universe. You don't need another person. Don't get into another relationship. Just work for yourself.
This is a profound message.
And it is
Yeah.
very surprising. It is very surprising that we usually talk about abuse in marriages, because you're stuck now, and now you're thinking what to do, what not to do. But abuse happens in uh, in regular relationships before marriage as well.
Yes.
Abuse
Yes.
happens with teenagers. It happens with
Correct.
people who are in their 20s, not even ready for marriage. Even in those cases
Mm.
it has. So in those cases, it may be much more easier to just leave that relationship and
Mm.
think you deserve so much better. We think about counseling and this and that. Let's be very practical. Let's be absolutely practical. If you're not married, you are, in your teenage or in your 20s, you probably, if you're in your teenage, you be sure that you're anyways not going to be with this person for the rest of your life. So it's better to leave him now rather than wait a couple of years, be abused, and then leave. It's only when you are
Mm.
married, very practically, you want to think through what is happening and change the situation. So don't make it worse. Think like a normal person. Don't be Buddha all the time.
Yes. Absolutely. Profound message, profound advice, and I really loved listening to what you said because there is so much wisdom in that, uh, and I hope that my audience listen to it and get inspired and get something to take back home. They have something to take back home. So it was really wonderful listening to you, April. Very inspiring. And
Thank
I
you.
absolutely am so glad that you are here today on my show. So normally before
Same.
ending my show, I always have a game to end it in a lighter mode, with laughter or some fun. So I
Yeah.
have a rapid fire round. So if you're okay with it, can I ask you?
Oh, please, let's go for
Okay.
it.
Okay. So here is it. Okay. So I'm starting now. What's worse, laundry or dishes?
Laundry.
Okay. Online shopping or shopping in store
Online all the time.
all the time?
I don't
Cups in
even
the
buy my
cupboard.
milk. Okay.
Okay. Everything is online. Yeah. And
I go,
this COVID
I
pandemic
stop.
situation is.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other
Yes.
day how easily we get
Yeah.
used to things. I don't want to go out for milk also. I do Zepto
Yeah.
for that.
Everything, bread, even bread and eggs and everything comes
Right.
is delivered at home. So, cups in the cupboard, right side up or upside down?
Upside down.
Okay. When sleeping, fan or no fan?
Oh, fan.
You need fan. Okay. Big
Absolutely. I'm
party
from
or a
Mumbai.
small? Okay.
Big.
So, big party or small gathering?
Um, wow, that's a good question. Big party.
Big party. Okay. While walking, music or podcast?
Podcast.
Okay. Classic art or modern art?
Classic art.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Okay. Sweater or hoodie?
Hoodie.
Paperback or ebook?
Ebook. Totally.
Okay. So here, this ends here, my rapid fire round. Thanks for sharing your life journey, April, and inspiring my audience. And thanks for your valuable presence and message to the world that no matter what challenges you face, never give up. And thanks to everyone for listening, and to all those who will be listening later on. I want to thank Success Psyche too for their support. It was brilliant having you here, April, and I wish you all the best that you are doing. and may you blossom in your journey.
Thank you so much. I This was the first time, honestly, I have shared my story on video, on live. I have only shared it on over the phone, so I had to gather some courage, or I would say, be okay with it. But yeah, I think that's perfect, and I'm so glad we
Yes,
did it.
yeah, people will relate to this because everybody is facing something or the other, and they will definitely relate and they will know. And I hope that people reach out to you if they need help. So thank you
Absolutely,
so
yes,
much
more
for
than
being here,
happy.
and thank you to everyone, and have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you so
Namaste.
much.